Every December, without fail, a card arrived at my apartment addressed in my mother's handwriting. I want you to sit with that for a moment. She knew my address. She wrote it on the envelope herself. Every year, for 15 years. And inside, a photograph. My father Gerald, my mother Maureen, my sister Bethany, sometimes the dog, a retriever named Biscuit who died in 2019 and honestly had more photogenic consistency than anyone else in that family. Me, not present. Never present. Mailed to, but not included. I kept them. I don't know why. Maybe because throwing them away felt like agreeing with something I hadn't consented to agree with. I asked once. This was about 10 years in, which tells you something about how long I gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. My father Gerald listened to the question with the particular patience of a man who has prepared an answer. Then he said, "You don't photograph well with us." Not, "You don't photograph well with us." The preposition is doing a lot of work in that sentence. And I have turned it over in my mind enough times that I've worn the edges off it. I still haven't found the bottom. I drove home that day and made soup and watched something forgettable on television, and did not call anyone, because what would I have said? My father implied I am compositionally incompatible with my own family. It sounds absurd out loud. It was absurd. It also happened. I should tell you I'm not a tragic person by nature. I have friends I love, work that interests me, an apartment I painted myself over a long weekend. The living room is a dark green that took 4 coats, and was absolutely worth it. I sent my own Christmas cards every year, mostly because I enjoyed the ritual. Finding a good photo, writing actual sentences in the message, the specific satisfaction of a well-addressed envelope. I was not sitting in the dark waiting to be included. I was living. But there was always, underneath the living, a small persistent question I couldn't quite answer, which is, what is it exactly that I am to them? My mother Maureen called the first week of December. She said they wanted me at the photo shoot this year. Her voice had a particular careful warmth that I recognized as effort, something in me. The part that is apparently still 12 years old. Went briefly, foolishly hopeful. I drove 40 minutes to the studio. I understood within 30 seconds of walking in. Bethany was pregnant. Visibly, beautifully, photographically usefully pregnant. The card this year was going to be abundant, full, a portrait of a growing family. And a growing family needs more people in the frame. There were matching outfits on a chair near the door. Nobody had told me about the matching outfits. There was a spot marked on the floor with tape where I was clearly meant to stand, positioned to Bethany's left, close enough to imply warmth without requiring it. I was set dressing. I was the body that made the composition balance. I stood in the doorway for a moment. My mother was saying something about the lighting. Bethany was talking to the photographer. Gerald was adjusting his collar in a mirror. I said I'd forgotten something in the car. I walked out. I drove home. The decision didn't fully arrive in words until I was on the highway. It had happened somewhere in my body first. A simple, physical refusal, the kind that doesn't negotiate. I made my own card that year. The photo was one my friend Dana had taken in October. Me at my kitchen table, mid-law at something she'd said, completely unposed, the dark green wall visible behind me. I look, if I'm being honest, like someone who is doing fine, because I am doing fine. That's the true and slightly complicated thing. I wrote a short message. Genuine, not pointed. Wishing you all a good new year. Then I went to my address management spreadsheet. The one I had built and maintained for years, because I am the kind of person who builds and maintains spreadsheet. And I sent it to everyone on the family list. My parents. Extended family, my parents' neighbors the Hendersons, who had been receiving the family portrait card since before I was in high school, and who, I realized, had probably wondered about me for years. Without knowing they were wondering. It was not a statement, it was just a card. My face, my table, my wall, my life. Bethany called 4 days later. She was not calm. She said several things in quick succession. About embarrassing the family, about timing, about what Grandma Ruth had apparently said upon receiving her copy. I let her talk. Bethany has always needed to run to the end of a sentence before she can hear anything. So I waited. When she finished, I said, "I hope you're feeling well. Pregnancy is hard." She hung up. I don't know what she did with that. What I understood, sitting quietly after the call, was that Bethany was also inside something. The same structure I'd been outside of, just with a different vantage point. That didn't make us close. It didn't fix anything. It just made the whole situation more human than I'd sometimes let myself believe. I put a copy of my card on the refrigerator. My own face, mid-law, held up by a small magnet shaped like a pineapple that I bought at a farmer's market and have never been able to throw away. I look at it sometimes while the coffee brews. I am the whole picture. I take up the entire frame. It turns out that's enough. It turns out it was always enough. I just had to stop waiting for someone else to take the photo.